All right, everybody, welcome to the deep dive. We're ready to go deep. Today, we're going to get you ready for those factory hand interviews.
Yeah.
And to help us out, we've got some awesome resources from RoleCatcher.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are we going to be looking at some real interview questions from their interview guide, but we've also got some great career insights from RoleCatcher's Factory Hand Career Guide.
Yes.
And we'll even touch on how RoleCatcher's AI can help give you that extra edge, when you're going through that whole application process.
Exactly.
So factory work, I know it might not sound super glamorous to everybody, but it's a stable career path, and there's actually a lot of room for growth.
Definitely.
So we're here to make sure you absolutely crush that interview.
That's right. Before we jump into those interview questions, let's just take a quick look at the role itself.
Okay.
You're going to be doing things like assisting machine operators and assemblers. You're going to be keeping your workspace clean and organized and making sure that those supplies are stocked and ready to go. It's all about teamwork and efficiency in this role.
Got it. So you need to be a real team player and someone who can keep things moving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I am ready to tackle some questions.
Okay.
What do we got?
All right, so let's start with what experience do you have in a factory setting?
Okay.
It might seem pretty basic, but they're really trying to gauge, do you understand the demands of a factory environment?
Okay. So even if I haven't worked in a factory before, I can still highlight relevant experiences.
Absolutely. Think about any jobs where you've had to work quickly, follow instructions precisely, or work as part of a team. Did you ever work in a fast-paced restaurant kitchen?
Oh, yeah.
Or were you a stockroom clerk that kept everything organized and running smoothly?
Okay.
All those experiences demonstrate, the types of skills that translate well to a factory setting.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
What kind of follow-up questions should I be prepared for with this one?
Okay, so they might ask you, tell me about a time you had to work under pressure. Or describe a situation where you had to collaborate with a team to meet a tight deadline.
Okay.
So be ready with those specific examples that really showcase your abilities.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Now, what about question number 2?
All right, so this one really focuses on quality.
Okay.
How do you ensure the quality of products manufactured in a factory?
Okay.
So they want to know that you are detail-oriented and committed to producing really top-notch work.
So it's about having that quality-first mindset, not just going through the motions.
Exactly. And remember, the career guide highlights the importance of quality checks for junior factory hands.
Right.
So you can really use that to your advantage. You could say something like, in my previous role as a cashier, I would double-check every transaction to ensure accuracy. I understand that attention to detail is crucial in a factory, and I'm really eager to learn your specific quality control procedures.
That's a great way to kind of connect past experience, even if it's not exactly factory related to this specific role. What kind of follow-up questions might they ask around quality?
Okay, so be prepared for very specific questions like, describe a time that you identified a quality issue. What steps did you take to resolve it? Or even, what are your thoughts on the importance of quality control in manufacturing?
Okay, so be ready to think on my feet and connect my experiences to that bigger picture of quality control.
Yeah.
What's next on our list?
All right, let's talk time management. How do you prioritize tasks in a factory setting when there are tight deadlines? So they want to know if you can handle the pressure.
Right.
And juggle those multiple responsibilities without dropping the ball.
Right. Time management is important in every job, but I can only imagine how much more important it is in that fast-paced factory setting.
Oh, definitely.
How should I approach this one?
Think STAR method. Situation, task, action, and result.
Okay.
Describe a time that you were swamped. Explain how you figured out, what needed to be done first. The steps that you took and the positive outcome.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
What about follow-ups?
All right, so they could ask, give me an example of a time you had to adjust your priorities based on, changing circumstances. Or how do you handle feeling overwhelmed when there are just competing demands?
Those are good ones to be ready for.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 4.
All right.
This one seems pretty specific. What is your experience with operating factory machinery?
Yeah, it is specific, and it might not even be relevant to every factory hand job.
Okay.
But if they're asking it, they're looking for someone who's comfortable working with machines, at least on a basic level.
So even if I haven't operated, big, heavy machinery, I should still try to showcase some skills.
Think about any experience you have with tools or equipment. Have you ever assembled furniture from those really complicated instruction manuals?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe you've used power tools in a previous job? Even operating a forklift counts.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's about demonstrating I can learn and follow instructions when it comes to equipment.
And don't forget to emphasize safety.
Right.
They want to know that you're responsible and prioritize a safe work environment.
Safety first.
Yeah.
Got it. What kind of follow-up questions might they ask about machinery and safety?
All right, they could ask, tell me about a time you followed safety protocols while operating equipment, or what would you do if you noticed a colleague not following safety procedures?
Okay, those are great ones to prepare for. On to question number 5. This one's a little more intense. How do you handle hazardous materials in a factory setting?
Safety's paramount in a factory.
Right.
So they're definitely going to ask about this. They want to know that you're aware of the risks and you're going to follow procedures to the letter.
So even if I haven't worked with hazardous materials before, I should still demonstrate that I understand, the importance of those safety procedures.
Absolutely. Highlight any experience that you have with safety training or protocols, even if it's from a different industry. Think about times that you've had to carefully follow instructions or handle sensitive materials. Maybe you worked in a lab setting, or you handled cleaning supplies with specific safety guidelines.
Okay, so I can draw parallels from other experiences to really showcase my ability to be cautious and responsible. What about follow-up questions related to hazardous materials?
Okay, be prepared for questions like, describe a time you had to handle a potentially dangerous situation, or what steps would you take if you spilled a hazardous substance?
Okay.
Think about, how you'd react in those situations and demonstrate your commitment to safety.
Great points. It sounds like being prepared for the unexpected is key.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to question number 6. What are some of the challenges you have faced in a factory setting, and how did you overcome them?
This is a classic behavioral question designed to see how you handle adversity and learn from your experiences.
So it's not about pretending I've never had a tough day on the job. It's about showcasing how I learn and grow from those challenges.
Exactly. Be honest, but frame your answers positively.
Okay.
Did you have to learn a new process really quickly? Were there times you had to collaborate with a difficult coworker? Don't just describe the problem. Focus on the steps you took to solve it and the positive outcome.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
What are some potential follow-up questions they might ask to dig a little deeper?
All right, so they might ask, what did you learn from that experience? Or how would you approach a similar situation differently in the future?
Okay.
Reflect on those past challenges and be ready to share how you've grown from them.
Great advice. Okay, moving right along. Question number 7 brings us back to safety. How do you maintain a safe working environment in a factory setting? They seem pretty focused on this.
You got it. Safety is always top of mind in a factory environment.
Yeah.
They want to make sure you're not just following rules, but you're actively promoting a culture of safety.
So they're looking for someone who's proactive and takes safety seriously?
Exactly. Think beyond, just wearing your safety gear.
Right.
Talk about ways that you've encouraged colleagues to follow procedures, how you've identified potential hazards, or even times that you've gone above and beyond to ensure everybody's well-being. Remember, the career guide mentions that senior factory hands are actually responsible for ensuring compliance with safety regulations.
Oh, wow.
That's the level of ownership they're looking for.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's all about demonstrating that commitment to safety from, the individual level all the way up to company-wide standards. What are some follow-up questions they might ask to see if I truly walk the walk?
Okay, be prepared for questions like, describe a time you went above and beyond to ensure safety in the workplace. Or, what would you do if you noticed a potential safety hazard that others had overlooked? Show them you're not just talking about safety, you're actively living it.
Those are great ones to consider. All right, let's keep moving. Question number 8. How do you handle conflicts with colleagues in a factory setting? This is a classic interview question, for any job.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that teamwork is especially crucial in a factory environment.
You're spot on. They're looking for someone who can work effectively as part of a team, even when things get a little tense.
So it's about being a team player even when faced with a disagreement or, a challenging personality.
Exactly. Highlight your communication skills, your ability to listen and empathize, and your knack for finding solutions that benefit everyone. Remember, it's not about winning an argument. It's about working together to keep things running smoothly.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
What are some follow-up questions they might ask to really put my conflict resolution skills to the test?
Okay, so be prepared for something like, tell me about a time you had a conflict with a coworker and how you resolved it. Or how do you handle working with someone who has a different communication style than you?
Right.
These questions allow you to really showcase your ability to navigate, those interpersonal challenges effectively.
Fantastic questions to ponder. All right, on to question number 9. How do you ensure that you meet production targets in a factory setting? This one feels like it's all about efficiency and productivity.
It absolutely is. The interviewer wants to know that you're goal-oriented and driven to achieve results.
Right.
They want to see that you understand the importance of meeting deadlines and contributing to the overall success of the operation.
So they're looking for someone who takes pride in their work and is dedicated to meeting those targets, even when things get tough.
Precisely talk about your ability to stay focused, manage your time effectively, and consistently deliver high-quality work. If you've ever worked in a role where you had to meet quotas or deadlines, share those experiences and highlight your successes.
Got it. I'll be sure to have some examples ready.
Good.
What about potential follow-up questions?
They might ask. Describe a time you had to go the extra mile to meet a deadline. Or, what strategies do you use to stay motivated and productive even when tasks become repetitive? So be ready to share your insights on staying focused and driven.
Fantastic advice. Okay, last question. Number 10. What do you think are the most critical qualities for a factory hand to possess? This feels like a chance to summarize everything we've talked about.
You nailed it. This is your chance to leave them with a strong, lasting impression.
So it's about highlighting, those key skills and personality traits that make for a successful factory hand.
Think back to everything we've discussed. Teamwork efficiency, attention to detail, safety consciousness, problem-solving skills, and the ability to work under pressure. Weave those qualities into your answer and show them you understand what it takes to excel in this role.
Great advice. Now, are there any potential follow-up questions for this final one?
They might ask, can you give me a specific example of how you've demonstrated one of these qualities in a previous role? Or why do you think these qualities are so important in a factory environment? It's your final chance to shine, so make it count.
Well, that was a marathon of a Q&A session.
Yeah.
But I feel so much more prepared now. Thanks for breaking it all down.
You're going to do great. Now, before we move on, let's remember that RoleCatcher can help you personalize your prep even further.
Well, there's more. I'm all ears.
Yeah. RoleCatcher has this, treasure trove of resources, including a library of interview questions specifically for factory hand roles.
Okay.
So you can really fine-tune your preparation.
That's amazing. But I have to admit, even with all this great advice, interview prep can feel kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
Where do I even start?
That's where RoleCatcher's AI comes in. Think of it as like your personal interview coach.
Okay.
Right in your pocket. It analyzes those job descriptions and suggests improvements to your CV, making sure it highlights the skills that employers are looking for.
So it's not just generic advice, it's tailored feedback for the specific jobs that I'm applying for.
Precisely. It helps you stand out from the crowd. And here's the best part. RoleCatcher's basic features are completely free.
Free. You had me at AI coach, but free. Yeah. That's incredible. Okay, so we've covered those common interview questions, and we know RoleCatcher has our back. Anything else we need to know before we send our listeners off to conquer those interviews?
Yes, actually, we've focused a lot on the interview itself.
Right.
But let's not forget about the bigger picture. What's it really like to be a factory hand?
Right, because acing the interview is just the first step. We want our listeners to thrive in this role.
Exactly. Let's talk pros and cons.
Okay.
One of the biggest benefits is stability. Manufacturing jobs are typically pretty consistent,
right,
which is great for job security.
Makes sense.
But on the flip side, it can be physically demanding.
Okay.
You'll be on your feet a lot, possibly lifting heavy objects and working in a fast-paced environment.
Okay, so it's a trade-off. Stability and a strong work ethic are key, but it's not for everyone.
Right.
What about growth potential? Is this a job you can build a career on?
Absolutely. Starting as a factory hand can open doors to becoming a machine operator, a supervisor, or even branching out into more specialized roles.
Okay.
Remember that water jet cutter operator we mentioned earlier?
Oh, yeah.
That's just one example of the interesting paths you could explore.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
It's not just a job. It's a stepping stone to a whole career in manufacturing.
Exactly.
So for our listeners who are ready to rock their interviews, what's the most important thing to remember?
While those technical skills are important, those soft skills, teamwork, communication, problem solving, are just as crucial in a factory setting. Think about it. You're part of a team working together to meet those production goals. Being able to communicate effectively, solve problems on the fly, and collaborate with your colleagues is essential.
That's such a great point.
Yeah.
It's not just about what you know, but how you work with others and handle, those everyday challenges.
Exactly.
And I bet RoleCatcher can help us prepare for those behavioral questions too.
You bet RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze your answers to those tricky behavioral questions and give you personalized feedback. It's like having a mock interview with an expert who knows exactly what those hiring managers are looking for.
That's amazing. So we've got the interview questions covered, we know about the pros and cons of the job, and we've got RoleCatcher's AI in our corner. What's next?
Let's dive a little deeper into RoleCatcher and how it can help you tailor your responses to specific job roles.
Okay, I'm ready to unlock the power of AI. What can you tell us?
Remember how we talked about connecting your past experiences to the specific requirements of a factory hand role?
Yes.
Well, RoleCatcher takes that to a whole new level.
How so? I'm intrigued.
Imagine this. You find a job posting for a factory hand position that specifically mentions experience with operating forklifts
Okay.
and emphasizes the importance of maintaining a clean and organized workspace.
Okay. That sounds pretty standard for a factory hand role.
Exactly. But here's where RoleCatcher shines. You can actually input that job description into RoleCatcher,
Oh.
and its AI will analyze the key skills and requirements. Then when you're practicing your interview answers, RoleCatcher will give you feedback on how well you've incorporated those specific keywords
Okay.
and highlighted those relevant skills.
Wow, that's impressive. It's like having a personalized cheat sheet for every interview.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It helps you tailor your responses so that they resonate with what that particular employer is looking for. It takes the guesswork out of interview prep and helps you focus on the skills that matter most for each job.
I love that. So it's not just about giving generic answers. It's about showing the employer that you've really thought about their specific needs and how your skills align perfectly with their requirements.
You got it. RoleCatcher helps you make that connection clear and stand out as the ideal candidate.
This is so helpful. I feel like I'm finally understanding the power of AI and how it can level up my job search.
And remember, this AI-powered feedback is available even with RoleCatcher's free version. It's an incredible resource for anyone looking to ace their factory hand interview.
This is all fantastic information. I bet our listeners are feeling a lot more confident about their interviews now. But before we wrap up, I'm curious, is there anything else we can share from the RoleCatcher Career Guide that might help our listeners really shine in their interviews?
Absolutely. There are a couple of key insights from the guide that I think are worth highlighting.
Okay.
First, let's talk about the importance of adaptability.
Okay. Adaptability. That makes sense in any work environment. But how does it apply specifically to factory work?
The career guide mentions that the manufacturing industry is constantly evolving. New technologies are being introduced all the time.
Right.
And processes are always being refined. So being able to adapt to change quickly and learn new skills is a huge asset.
So interviewers are looking for someone who's not just willing to learn, but eager to embrace new challenges and technologies.
Exactly. You can demonstrate this in your interview by highlighting times when you had to learn a new system, quickly adapt to a change in procedures, or take on a new responsibility.
Got it. Adaptability is key.
Yeah.
What else does the career guide emphasize?
The guide also highlights the importance of problem-solving skills. Remember, in a factory setting, things don't always go according to plan.
Right.
Machines can malfunction, materials can run short, and unexpected challenges can arise.
So being able to think on your feet and find solutions is essential.
Precisely. Interviewers want to know that you can identify problems, analyze the situation, and come up with solutions that keep things running smoothly.
That makes perfect sense. How can our listeners showcase those problem-solving skills during their interviews?
They can prepare by thinking about times they've faced challenges in previous jobs and how they successfully resolved them. The STAR method we talked about earlier is a great way to structure those answers.
That's a great reminder. So to recap, we've got adaptability and problem solving as key takeaways from the RoleCatcher Career Guide. And of course, we've got RoleCatcher's AI to help us practice our answers and tailor them to specific job requirements.
Yes.
I feel like our listeners are well equipped to ace those interviews.
Me too. And there's one more thing from the career guide that I think is worth sharing, especially as we wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm all ears. What is it?
It's about career progression. We've touched on this briefly,
Right.
but I think it's important to emphasize that a factory hand position can be a fantastic launching pad for a rewarding career in manufacturing.
That's empowering. Tell me more about the potential career paths.
The career guide outlines several possibilities. As you gain experience, you might move into a machine operator role,
Mm-hmm.
where you'll be responsible for running and maintaining specific pieces of equipment.
That sounds like a natural progression from the factory hand role.
It is. And from there, you could potentially move into a supervisory position,
Mm.
overseeing a team of factory hands or machine operators. Or if you're interested in specializing, you could explore roles like quality control technician
Okay.
or production planner.
So many possibilities. It's encouraging to know that starting as a factory hand doesn't limit you. It opens doors to a wide range of career options.
Exactly. And that's something you can highlight in your interviews. Express your enthusiasm for learning and growing within the company. Let them know that you see this as a long-term career path, not just a temporary job.
That's great advice. It shows initiative and ambition. Now, I know we need to wrap up this part of our deep dive soon, but I'm wondering, did the career guide mention any specific skills or certifications that might give our listeners an edge in the job market?
Yes, actually, the guide suggests exploring certifications in areas like forklift operation, workplace safety, and quality control.
Those sound like valuable additions to any resume. Where can our listeners learn more about those certifications?
The career guide provides some links to resources where you can find more information. And of course, you can always ask your interviewer about specific certifications that are valued within their company.
That's a great tip. It shows that you're proactive and serious about advancing your skills. Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this section. We've talked about the pros and cons of being a factory hand, explored potential career paths, and learned how RoleCatcher can help us tailor our interview responses and showcase our strengths.
That's all right.
We've given our listeners a lot to think about.
We have.
Now I think it's time to move on to our final thoughts and wrap up this deep dive. Okay, so we've come to the final part of our deep dive. I feel like we've given our listeners a real masterclass in factory hand interview prep.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're ready to walk into that interview feeling confident and ready to impress that hiring manager.
Absolutely. Now, before we send them off to conquer the world of manufacturing, do you have any final words of wisdom?
Yes, I do. Remember, while all those technical skills are super important, it's those soft skills that are really going to help you stand out.
Okay.
Think about those times when you've demonstrated great teamwork, problem-solving skills, a positive attitude. Those are the stories that are really going to resonate with those interviewers and make you a memorable candidate.
That's such a powerful reminder. It's not just about what you know, but how you work with others and approach those everyday challenges.
Exactly. And don't forget about all those amazing resources that we've talked about today. RoleCatcher is an incredible tool.
Yes.
That can help you personalize your preparation from, crafting that standout CV to practicing those tricky interview questions.
Yes, head over to RoleCatcher. Explore all those resources and just unlock your full potential. You've got the skills, you've got the drive, and now you've got the knowledge. Go out there and make it happen. We're cheering you on.
I have no doubt you'll all do great.
That's it for this deep dive into the world of factory hand interviews. We hope you learned a ton and are feeling confident and prepared to land your dream job. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.